Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to our YouTube channel and welcome to this video. This is John from Programming Knowledge, and this is part 8 of our PWA for Beginners tutorial series. So from the previous tutorial, we implemented our service worker for this particular application, and we tried to intercept the fetch events coming from our PWA project. So if you try to go here inside our console, we can see here the different fetch event displayed here with all the necessary resources being requested by our app. So for example, in this one, the request, we can see here that this particular request is for the materialize .CSS, and also this one is for, let us see, this one is for the Google API's fonts, which is the material icons. This one is for the CSS. This is our own styles.css. So we define that inside our project, which is here. So basically all the request right here is being requested by our app and incorporating this request to the app. So for example, the styles, so it applies the styles here inside our app. Now what we want is to save this request into our cache, because eventually we want our app to support offline capability. So that's why we want to save this into our cache, all the resources being requested, and all these resources compose the app shell of our PWA project. So basically, even if the browser goes offline or the device goes offline, the user should, basically see the app with limited capability. So that's why we want to save this resources into our cache, and then later on, if the device goes offline or the browser goes offline, then we could request the resource from the cache of the browser. So that's why we need to save that. So in order for us to do that, we need to go to our service worker file, which is sw.js. So basically, we also save the cache, right? Or the resources into our cache. So if we go to the application and go to the cache storage, and then the app shell resources, we have here all the resources being saved into the cache. The materialize, .CSS, the styles, .CSS, contacts, the PNG or the image itself. This is the logo. We also have the index.html, the app.js, and other resource file. Now, as I've said, we're gonna make use of this cache storage, and even if the device goes offline, we can get all these resources coming from our cache. Okay, so now here in our service worker.js file, we have here the assets that we're trying to save, or simply the resources being requested by the app. And currently we're not using this. We're just saving this into our assets, or into the cache of the browser, but we're not currently saving this, or we're not currently using this inside our app. So what we want is to change this service worker files. So we have here the install event right here, or we're simply listening to the install event of the service worker. Now we could move this particular line right here inside the install event. Okay, so basically what we're trying to do is adding the cache, or adding the resources into the cache if we detect the installed event of the service worker. So whenever the browser tries to install this particular event right here, we're saving the resources into the cache, not directly as previously configured by us right here. So this is directly saving the resources into the cache, but what we want is wait for the install event, and then inside the installed event we can save the resources into the cache. Okay, and before anything else, also we need to add another method or function right here inside our install event listener. So we're gonna use the event parameter right here, and then we're gonna use the wait until function. Okay, so the purpose of this wait until function is that it prolongs the installed event. Okay, and it's going to wait for adding the resources into the cache. So basically what we're trying to do here is just prolong the event or installed event, and then wait until all the resources are being, saved into the cache of the browser. Okay, so now we have that. We could, save that. And here inside our fetch event right here, what we could do is try to check resources being requested. So if that particular resource is present in the cache, then we're gonna use that. We're gonna use that resource coming from our cache instead of, directly requesting that from the URL or from the remote server. So that's why in here inside our fetch event listener, we need to add also some other cache files or some other resources into the cache. So basically, for example, right here, we could check if caches that match event that request, then we could return a promise right here, or a then statement, or then function, and then we could specify the cache resources right here, and then we could return the caches and then open. But before we proceed, right here we need to add an event. Basically we're just gonna use this event object right here. So event and then respond with. Okay, so this is another method or function that we're gonna use. So basically what this is trying to do is we're trying to intercept the fetch event, and then we're adding our own response right here. So event that respond with, so we could configure our own response right here. So basically what we could do is move this right here inside. Okay, and then what we're trying to do here is that we're checking if the cache contains the request event, meaning, so for example, the app requests the styles.css, and if it is inside the cache, then we're gonna add here the then function right here. So basically this particular line is asynchronous, then that's why we could add the then function right here, and then it's going to return the cache resources, or for example the styles.css inside the cache browser or browser's cache. Then what we will do here is to return the resources or the resource itself. So instead of opening, we could make this, or we could return the cache resource right here. So return and then the cache resources, or the resource coming from our cache, if the cache event or cache has this particular resources being requested. Okay, but there are also times that the cache response, there are cases that it will return an null or empty, because there are cases that you don't already have the asset saved into the browser's cache. So that's why sometimes it returns empty or null. So in that situation, what we could do is add here the two pipes, and basically we just want to return the request. Okay, so again, what we're doing here is we're intercepting the fetch event, and then we're checking if the request is inside the cache. If that's the case, then we could return the cache resources. Otherwise, we will return the request event itself. So let's try this inside our app. So let's go back here and refresh. Okay, and then if we go here in our network, so as you can see here that it is coming from the service worker. So instead of coming from the remote server, this is coming from our service worker, meaning it fetches the event or fetches the resources coming from our browser or cache of the browser. Okay, so in the next video, we're gonna make use of this particular resources being requested by our app, and then we could support the offline capability of our PWA project. Okay, so I think that's all there is to it in this video, guys, and thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.